Oh, yeah, baby.
Bring it.
Bring it. Just come on and take them. Get hyped every time I hear that song. That's the new Garage Politics song. And there we are for another amazing week at Garage Politics with Buzz Rankin.
And the Common Patriot.
Hey, all right,
That's
folks.
my pukey voice.
Your pukey voice? All right. Well, we're glad to be back again after last week's debacle. We tried
dear God.
Patriot was going to be out of town. We were trying to record something and get it up there and get it going. And yeah, that didn't work out right because idiot me was goofing off with some sound settings and some video settings beforehand. And oopsies, kind of messed everything up. So it was this big, blurred, nasty, non-audio, 45-minute debacle that we were like excited. I was like, oh, look. And then Patriot looked at it and went, what have you done?
But, at first we thought the video was bad, and I thought, it's okay. We'll just put it up as an audio.
Yeah.
I played
No audio.
and there was no audio.
And what was it? We talked about, what was the...
we went through, it was mostly a discussion on the Constitution.
Yes.
Article 1, Section 8, mostly. The enumerated powers clause, and we had some discussions about certain amendments. The good news is I have all the notes.
Yes.
And it's
we
not
could
something
revisit.
that was time specific to last week or anything. So it's stuff that I'll save the notes and we'll still do it. So it won't be exactly the same, but we won't miss that.
But
show.
it was so funny because one of the things we covered...
was Wicker v. Filburn.
Yes, Wicker v. Filburn. We covered it. And no sooner did we cover it because Patriot and I were sitting there talking and we were like, oh, this is cool. We're doing stuff that other shows don't do.
And it pops up
another
on Andrew
national
Wilkow's show.
The Wilkow show does it. And it's like, doggone it. We did that first and we didn't record it right. So, no one to blame but ourselves. So, but hey, we want to remind you, check us out on garagepolitics.com or net if you're hooked to the old ways. That was out there a lot longer, but go on and check us out there. You can see our links there for Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Rumble. Actually, do we have a Rumble link on the website there?
That is what that video is. That's the link to the Rumble. That's our primary post. Is to Rumble.
All right.
And hey, the first week show, the one from the 15th or whatever it was.
Yes.
We got a whole 14 views on that bad boy.
Sweet. We're getting an audience again. That's a good thing. So guys, do us
14 of you are brave souls, and we are glad you're with us.
And you know what? And when we hit, I tell you what. You know what we need to do? We need to. We'll do a little thing because by the time we start getting it, send us an email. Send us an email.
Yep.
If you're the 14 people listening, hit us an email. We're going to make sure you get some of the original swags for being the founders.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to be our founders. So we're looking forward to
You know what? You know what we will do? I'll tell you what we will do.
Okay, tell them.
When we hit 100 subscribers, okay, those 14 people that have viewed this initially, send us an email. Send it to admin@garagepolitics.net.
.net.
That's the old address. Until
Let's
I get that
confuse them all.
changed, I
Let's
got to get it
confuse them.
changed. I'm sorry. I'm going to get those fixed. Send it to admin@garagepolitics.net, okay? And just send me your email address. That's all, your name and your email address, okay?
Yep.
Include the size of the T-shirt you wear. Because what we'll do is when we hit 100 subscribers on our Rumble page,
Yes.
those first group of people, as of today, that have been watching the video, we'll send them a T-shirt.
There you go.
Garage Politics T-shirt. Now,
Patriot's got one of those on.
Now, here's the fun part, right? When we hit 1,000 subscribers,
Yes.
Buzz will make you a cup.
Oh, wow. Put me under pressure.
Yeah.
He's putting my laser
He will
to
make
use.
you a Garage Politics cup.
Yep. We'll make you a
with the
20
new
ounce
logo
Garage
and everything. We'll
Politics
send it
tumbler,
out to
right.
you. Okay?
And that logo's trademarked and everything, guys. We own that. We actually put a little bit more money into this, so we're pretty excited. So yeah, so make sure that when you do go to Rumble or you do go to YouTube, subscribe, guys.
Yes.
Hit those subscribes because the beauty is our goal is to ultimately go live again, so that we're not pre-recording and then putting it up later on Monday night so that everybody can listen. We want to go live again. Once we go live, we get back to callers.
Yes, and
that's the beauty.
Rumble is 100 subscribers.
100
we have to have
subscribers.
100 subscribers to the page, and we can do live streaming.
So we'll be live on Rumble before we ever are on the YouTube.
On YouTube.
So that because we'd get banned over there soon. Anyway.
YouTube's back to banning people again anyway. It won't take them very long.
No, probably not. So yeah, don't forget that, guys. Well, we got I know Patriot. I've got a little bit of a segment tonight. I've got a new one. pretty much most of the show is going to be Patriot on his soapbox because that's what we're used to. So
There's lots of soapbox time nowadays, man.
Lots of soapbox
No
time.
way around it. Joe Biden.
So I'm wondering if we should just go ahead and get into the segment. What I'm going to do.
Let's go for it, man.
What do you think?
Let's do it.
That. Okay. Really? That's right. Tonight's segment is called Really? And there's a good reason for it. Because I found it funny. I'm digging through things and I'm thinking, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to do a Buzzsaw segment tonight? Am I going to do Faith Where We Stand? Am I going to do, breaking news? And then I said, well, what the heck's this? So I'm reading and I'm going to touch on a subject that it's still out there, but it's not really anymore. And we lived it for several years and we said we weren't going to talk about it on the show, but I had to. Because it's beautiful when you read one headline and then you go back and then you read another one and you go, wait a second. That's the same headline with different statistics. How's that
This is going to be
possible?
great.
So tonight on Really, we're going to have a lot of fun. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about long COVID.
Long COVID.
Long COVID, it's a real thing now.
Is this a new variant?
No, it's well, let's read a headline. So this one comes from CNBC. Long COVID is responsible for about a third of unfilled jobs in the U.S. Okay? And according to a Brookings Institution report that was published, an estimated 16 million Americans are experiencing COVID symptoms long after infection. The condition, dubbed long COVID, can include brain fog, fatigue, breathing problems, muscle pain, headache, chest pain. Even anxiety and depression. So, I mean, and that's just from CNBC. Well, let's go over to the Wall Street Journal. Why not? So, over 2 million, this is the headline, over 2 million Americans aren't working due to long COVID. Between 2 million and 4 million Americans aren't working due to long-term effects of COVID. Now, wait a second. Didn't we just read over 16 million? And now all of a sudden it's somewhere between 2 to 4 million. And that was, and according to Brookings Institute report. They're quoting the same report. So, I mean, oh, my goodness. They're still, quoting the same report. And then, wait a second. What's the next headline we got?
Oh, I can't wait to hear this.
New data shows long COVID is keeping as many as 4 million people out of work. Guess where that one's from?
The Wall Street Journal.
Brookings.edu. Brookings published a report that assessed the impact of long COVID on the labor market. Data on the condition's prevalence was limited, so the report used various studies to make conservative estimates.
You mean liberal estimates?
Yeah.
Yeah.
1.6 million full-time equivalent workers are out due to long COVID. I mean, so Brookings themselves say 1.6 million. Wall Street Journal says 2 to 4 million. CNBC says 16 million. Folks, are you seeing the pattern here? Are you seeing why I'm bringing this up tonight? Why I'm going, really? I mean, come on. You've got Brookings being quoted by two other people in Brookings themselves, all of them with different statistics. Totally different statistics.
This isn't surprising. This is why, before we were back on the air, when COVID got started and the reports were coming out about cases and deaths and everything, and I kept going to the CDC website, and I if you remember, I told you and others, I said, something's not right. The numbers aren't adding up. The stuff they're reporting is different here than it is there.
Right.
And then when you pull the data underlying the reports that were showing on the website, the data was totally different.
Oh, and it's amazing. And look, so now from the CDC, okay, so basically I got some long-term symptoms up there, and you can see at the bottom the source that supposedly comes from. The fatigue, the shortness of breath, the joint pain, chest pain, cough. Guys, a lot of those symptoms are allergies, cold, flu, other viruses, but no, they're all limited, or they're all in long COVID now. Okay, now this is post-COVID conditions. This is from the CDC. Some people who have been infected with the virus that causes COVID-19 can experience long-term effects from their infection, known as post-COVID conditions, PCC, or long COVID.
You know what else you can experience long-term effects from? Stupidity.
You can, exactly. So, long COVID or long haul COVID, post-acute COVID-19, post-acute sequelae of SARS-CoV-2 infection or PASC, long-term effects of COVID, and chronic COVID. Now, here's one that ought to upset people out there. Besides that, is the fact that as of July 2021,
Yeah.
long COVID, also known as post-COVID conditions, can be considered a disability under the new ADA Act.
Oh, give me a break.
I
Come
kid
on.
you not. And you can learn more at guidance on long COVID as a disability under the ADA section. So those of you that are covered under ADA that have legitimate disabilities are veterans, people that got real problems out there. You've got all of this cupcake, modern day, tree hugging, toad licking liberal society. Give me everything going, the common cold's got me where I cough and now I have a little bit of a brain issue thinking. You've had a brain issue thinking for a long time. Guys, aren't you sick of this crap being fed to you? I just gave you 3 different headlines quoting 3 different things. If you don't think you're being led around by your nose hairs, what the heck, guys? And now you're going to allow people that claim I have long COVID to get disability benefits, be treated as a disabled individual, all because they claim, and think about it. Read on those guys. Go check these things up. These are things that are right out there on the internet you can find. And it really just makes you sit there and say, really?
Oh, my God.
That's all I got for you tonight, Patriot. That's
Very
it,
nice.
buddy.
That's actually,
it.
believe it or not, that's actually going to work.
And I found the last picture, the long COVID-19 relief.
Uh-huh.
See how simple it is, people? Remove the mask. Jeez. There's your relief. Take
Hey,
it off and
I would
breathe
be
the
more
fresh
inclined
air.
to believe you've got people with problems from wearing that stupid mask than from COVID.
Well, they are. I mean, that was one of the things on the segment last week, guys. I actually talked about COVID, and it was Tool of the Week is what I had
Yes.
recorded. And
For
I
the
named,
CDC.
And I named the CDC, and it's because they admitted they openly dropped the ball. And one of the things I had pointed out, guys, and it makes you wish you just take screenshots when you find this stuff.
Yes.
Pre-COVID, right when we were getting ready to go into it at the end of February, beginning of March, if you went to the CDC website and you read, and it said under there about mask guidance, masks were for those individuals that were feeling ill or had sickness to wear to help prevent themselves from spreading the germs. Then we got into the scare and the horror tactics of, oh my gosh, COVID's out there.
We're all gonna die.
We're all going to die from the overglorified cold and flu. And then they changed it, CDC removed that, and it was everybody should wear a mask. Mm-hmm. Then a few months into it, everybody should wear 2 masks. Mm-hmm. Really? Then into it, everybody should wear 3 masks.
Yeah.
Come on.
Believe it or not, now it's not directly related, but it's going to work with what I've got for tonight.
Ooh, I'm excited and intrigued. Let's kick it over for Patriots Soapbox. Patriot.
Oh yeah.
What do you got for us, bro?
So I'm gonna take those off for a couple minutes.
Sweet.
So anybody that knows me knows I am I have been a devotee of Rush Limbaugh since 1988. I was listening to him while I was at the academy, and as Rush Limbaugh used to say, words mean things. Now I brought that up tonight because I'm going to confess that tonight was not about me getting into the Constitution or anything. I'm just sort of fed up. Okay, I've had I've had enough of being called a racist, white supremacist. Now we're domestic terrorists. I'm a fascist. The latest one, this is the one that set me off. Fascist. Biden actually referred to Trump supporters, MAGA conservatives, as he calls them. He doesn't even have the guts to actually just say what he thinks. He steps up and calls us semi-fascists.
Oh, we're semi-fascists.
Yeah. So, the administration, the media, politicians, we've been hearing it now for years. In the current cycle, though, basically Republicans are racist, white supremacists, conservatives are fascist. I had a couple of quotes I pulled up. Robert Reich, quote, just wondering if DeSantis is now officially a synonym for fascist. So they're going after, and there's a point to this. Joe Biden says, what we're seeing now is either the beginning or the death knell of an extreme MAGA philosophy. It's not just Trump. It's the entire philosophy that underpins I'm going to say something. It's like semi-fascism, okay? My thought was, when I heard that, everybody told us, got to get the mean tweeter out of the office, right? Orange man bad. Got to get rid of him. He's terrible. He's so mean. He just says bad things. He's not a nice guy, right? All this with under $2 a gallon gas and unemployment, record low unemployment in all sectors, right? Everything that was going on. But we had to get him out of there, right? Joe Biden was going to be a uniter, and now we're referring, American patriots is the same thing as saying domestic terrorists. We're domestic terrorists. Parents, if you disagree with the school board, okay? And now we're talking about a school board that advocates teaching a hypersexualized curricula, socialism, right? They want to talk down the republic, talk down our history, talk down our founding, right? Alternative lifestyles. They want to work to remove all the foundations and the pillars of our culture, ridiculing our heritage and trashing everything we believe in. And now, I hear people thinking it right now if you're not actually saying it. Oh, that's extreme. They're not really. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They do it constantly. And we move from one school board news piece to another day in and day out about the various school districts where they're trying to push this crap on our kids, okay? And all the while, anytime you disagree with them, and there's a pattern here. Every time you disagree with the left, you're a racist, you're a fascist, you're a bigot, you're a homophobe, you're a transphobe, you're a xenophobe. You name it, they've got it, right? Now, this isn't new. And so I went back and did a little looking, just a little bit. I didn't get too deep into it, but I'm gonna point out a couple of pieces for you here of stuff that I looked up. So, for over 60 years, Democrat politicians, right, pundits and activists, they've compared Republican political leaders to fascists, Nazis, even Adolf Hitler, right? Anybody remember when George W. Bush was basically compared to Adolf Hitler?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that was his recent memory.
I love how the Democrats and everything always try to they bash. They compare to some of the most horrific people in history.
Oh yeah.
Whenever they're trying to get a point across, and it's like nobody sees that as extreme. Well, nobody on the left sees that as extreme.
But if you disagree with a leftist, you're
absolutely.
a bigot.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Of course.
So, while campaigning for president, Barry Goldwater was targeted by Pat Brown, who was then California's left-wing governor. Of Goldwater's candidacy, Brown said, quote, "The stench of fascism is in the air." That's not new. That's been going on for over 60 years, okay? A few years after that, they targeted Richard Nixon. I know, Nixon's a pariah. He's a horrible man, terrible human being. Probably a special room in hell for him. I got it. In December of 1973, The Call published an article titled, "Dump Nixon, Stop the Fascist Tide." Okay? Then after Nixon won the presidency in 1968, late Senator Paul Wellstone said Nixon was a fascist pig. Okay? Now imagine a modern conservative politician, or just a modern conservative period, saying something like that about a leftist politician, something even close to that, right? They didn't leave. Now, who as a Republican, as a conservative, as a patriot, remembers Gerald Ford, right?
Right.
Gerald Ford.
Okay.
Not exactly a pillar of conservatism here, right? Like, I seem to recall from my younger years, Gerald Ford basically being sort of the definition of the country club blue blood Republican, right? What was said about him by the ACLU was, quote, if Ford's principle had been the rule in Nuremberg, the Nazi leaders would have been let off and only the people who carried out their schemes would have been tried. Okay? So even moderate Republicans, even Republicans that were not conservatives, right? Oh, you didn't like my paper being there?
No.
Oh.
It's just kind of floating out there.
Well, whatever. I'll tell you what I'll do. Look, I'll make it easy. I'll put it at the back so it's not, okay? All right, it's a
Patriots killing my visual effects
First
here.
night with paper, man. I'm sorry.
He's putting it over here, and as you can see right here, it's floating.
How about something a little more recent, right?
Okay,
How about 2016, okay? This is the one it's another one that I thought was really important to highlight because it's not like they're just looking at this all-white Republican Party and declaring that we're all a bunch of racists and terrorists and what have you. In 2016, when Larry Elder, anybody want to guess what color Larry Elder is? It's not white. In 2016, when Larry Elder, who is a staunch conservative, okay,
right,
ran for governor in California, you know what they said about him? They referred to him as the blackface of white supremacy. Look, when the Democrats, when the left can refer to blacks, whether it's Candace Owens, right, Larry Elder, Thomas Sowell, you name it, okay?
Right.
They call them white supremacists. They're sellouts. They're Uncle Toms, you name it. Speaking of which, the latest Uncle Tom 2 is out from Larry Elder's group over there at
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, very good. The first one was fantastic. So think about that for a second. Whether you're white, whether you're black, doesn't matter what it is. The fact that you support conservative principles or even that you're just a Republican,
right,
or simply that you disagree with them. Because we've had a very small handful of some Democrats who at times have opposed a particular policy on the left, and they're called white supremacists and whatever else, right?
Right.
So let's go back to what I said about Rush Limbaugh. Words mean things. Words mean things. So what does this mean, right? So let's start out with one of my first rules, right? Buzz is going to get so sick of hearing it because he got on me when I started bringing it up. Rule number 1, freedom is messy. Freedom is messy, folks. It's messy. It's always messy. And I'll elaborate on that later. Words mean things, and truth is in your actions. Right? You can say anything you want. I can sit here.
Acta non verba.
Acta non verba, right? I can sit here behind this microphone and I can spit out a bunch of drivel for hours on end, and it doesn't matter whether I really believe it. It doesn't really matter whether it's true. What matters is, do I live it? Do I believe it enough to make it part of my life? Am I carrying out those actions? Am I living by the principles that I espouse? And that's true of everybody, no matter what it is. I don't care whether it's Glenn Beck, Rush Limbaugh, Larry Elder, Thomas Sowell. Doesn't matter who it is, right? Joe Biden, whatever. The truth is that politicians in particular say a lot of things. But if you watch the actions, if you watch what they do, what do they vote for? What do they support? What do they push? Okay? That's where the truth is. And that's where I wanted to go, because after decades of them running around calling us fascists, Nazis, racists, white supremacists, you name it, I thought it's time to look at this. So you look for the truth of an ideology in the actions of the people who believe it, okay? And while the words explain it, while the words give it a form that you can look at and that you can understand, it's the actions of the people doing it, right? Also, though, thank you. Also, just because I say this is what I believe in, make sure I don't care who it is, anybody that you're listening to, that you're reading, whatever, don't just take what we say, what anybody says, right? Don't take secondhand knowledge.
No.
Understand it.
Dig into it and find out your own.
So here's something that I thought was important. It's not exactly directly related, but I think it bears on the mindset of the founders, right? In Article 3, Section 3, there is a section on treason, right?
Okay.
And you will find the following pronouncement. No person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of two witnesses to the same overt act, or on confession in open court, right?
Okay.
2 witnesses saw it, know that it happened. Not, well, he's a mean racist. He's a horrible Where's your proof?
Right.
Where's your proof? Where is he a racist? They called Donald Trump a racist for 4 years. They're still calling him a racist.
Yeah.
Right? And yet his actions say otherwise. His actions say something different, right? So it's important, this is talking about something that literally is a life and death situation. It's important in our daily lives to remember these are momentous decisions we make, to vote, to support various ideologies, to support politicians and support policies and all of this, right? So this is where I'm going for this week's show, right? Here's some definitions for you. And please don't ever feel, this is not condescending. That's not what it's about. It's just, I believe, like I said, words mean things. And I think it's important for us to all be on the same page when we start talking about something, because people run around throwing Nazi and fascist and socialist all over the place. They say these things constantly.
Well, and just to drive home what you were saying there, like we've always said, here in the garage, guys, the whole thing is, once again, we go back to, this is our views.
Yeah.
We believe the ability to agree to disagree still exists, even though most people don't ever live by that. And we're just, and we challenge people to go find the truth. I think one of the best sayings our mom used to tell us, and it stuck with me for years, and I know I used to hate when she'd say it when I was younger, but I'll never say it. Don't believe what you hear, and only half of what you see.
Yes.
And that could stand true with our media,
right,
with what politics is laying in front of you. Because, guys, we got news for you. Patriot and I, all politicians are corrupt, guys. It doesn't matter, Democrat, Republican.
Yep.
They're
I don't
all
trust
corrupt.
anyone.
They're all self-serving. We're both registered as constitutionalists. I'm not registered as a Republican or a Democrat because I got sick of it. I think that's the biggest division we've got, and I think Reagan even hit on it one time about that. But I didn't mean to take away from your point. I was just saying, guys, our views, but we challenge you. What we're saying here, go look it up. You'll find the truth about it. You're going to find that what we're saying, we're stating facts. We're not going and just making up stuff. We're not trying to persuade you. We're trying to lay out there the fact that things are mashed over, guys. Yep. Look these truths up. Find them. Dig into them. And start questioning our system and the garbage they're feeding you.
Well, and look, you've got grown daughters. I've got a 17-year-old and a 21-year-old. Okay? Right. And these are things that I see. This is instruction as much for my kids as it is for anybody else out there. Okay? So I'm going to go through some definitions. Like I said, do not feel like this is condescending. I'm not talking to anybody. I know you can look this up for yourself, right? And by the way, on the party thing, a little foreshadowing for you. Foreshadowing. Look, it's a theater term, right?
The foreshadow.
We will do a show on George Washington's, just literally almost beg the American people to steer clear of parties, political parties. Okay? We'll have a whole thing on that.
It's a beautiful thing.
So let's start off. Communism. Right?
Yep.
Simple. A system of government in which the state plans and controls the economy, and a single, often authoritarian party holds power, claiming to make progress toward a higher social order in which all goods are equally shared by the people. All right? I took that out of the American Heritage Dictionary, and I looked at some other things just to make sure. But also, okay, another definition, which came from Merriam-Webster, a system in which goods are owned in common or available to all as needed, a theory advocating elimination of private property. Now, I brought that second definition in there for a reason, because one of the reasons I look for old copies of books, first editions and second editions, the older
before they've been distorted and twisted.
Because nowadays we're changing the definitions of things so fast. They're adding new words, changing the definition of words, right? We can't even tell what a woman and a man are anymore. So, but I want the original definition of things. I want as much as I can get the original information on it, because now they try to make it. Think about the way that Webster says that, right? There's nothing necessarily negative in that comment. In that definition, says a system in which goods are owned in common and are available to all as needed, a theory advocating elimination of private property. Now, to somebody who doesn't understand the underlying issue with that and didn't live through the Soviet Union, to our younger people who have no frame of reference for what communism really does because the news doesn't tell them about it nowadays.
Right.
That sounds like, oh, that sounds good. That's fair.
Yes, but
that's nice.
But if you continue, that's the beauty. Now, that's a perfect example. The definition you read there of what modern day media does.
Yes,
they find a segment in something and go, oh, look at the light we can paint with that one sentence. Because if you go on to read in that definition, it's also a doctrine based on revolutionary Marxian socialism.
That's right.
And if you look historically at all countries that converted to socialism, they once were the richest populations around, and they're now some of the poorest and the trashiest and the filthiest because it crumbles to the ground.
I think I've still got a couple of surprises for you. Now, even the first definition, right,
Okay.
says a system of government in which the state plans and controls the economy and a single, now, often authoritarian party holds power. Can somebody show me the communist state that doesn't have an authoritarian party holding power? I'd like to see that one. They say often, as though there were one somewhere that was like, oh, but they were really nice. Right. No, they're not.
No.
Now, this is not an accident. I've included right after communism the definition of capitalism, right? Now, what you hear from a lot of people on a regular basis is this back and forth about communism versus capitalism, blah, blah, blah. Hey, anybody want to tell me where the word capitalism came from? Just out of curiosity. I'll define it for you, then I'll tell you where it came from if you don't already know. An economic system in which the means of production and distribution are privately or corporately owned, and development occurs through the accumulation and reinvestment of profits gained in a free market. That's the American Heritage Dictionary. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Now, I have made a conscious decision to stop talking about our system, our economic system, as capitalism.
Okay.
It is more than it ever used to be, but what it should be is something else that I'll explain in a couple of moments.
Okay.
But the term capitalism was almost unknown in the English world until first popularized by English translations of Das Kapital in 1867, work of the father of communism, Karl Marx. Karl Marx actually created the term capitalism. Actually, Das Kapital literally translates to the capital, right? Okay. As in monetary capital, yes, right? Yes. Capital for investment and everything. He actually defined the whole process in terms of what it was, just like the middle class. The middle class comes out of the definitions for communism and everything. So it's not, we don't have a middle class in America. We actually don't run on classes. The idea, I eschew the use of that regularly because we don't have classes here. You're not restricted to a class.
Right.
Okay, there are various economic strata that people move through freely on a regular basis.
Yes.
But there is no class as it is, technically defined.
And
generally.
we know there's plenty of people that don't have class.
Oh, we know plenty of people. Yes, that's true. There's lots of people that class. Now, you mentioned socialism. Let's talk about socialism, because here's another one. Everybody thinks, oh, it's a little different. It's a much nicer version of communism. No. Socialism, here's your definition. The stage in Marxist-Leninist theory intermediate between capitalism and communism, in which the means of production are collectively owned, but a completely classless society has not yet been achieved.
Yep.
So, if you think about it...
It's the transition right? from...
Marxist-Leninist theory,
yep.
Capitalism, socialism, communism. The end result is always communism. The end result is authoritarian rule. You can call socialism a middle ground. You can think that it's so fair and it's pretty and it looks nice. Folks, Venezuela does not look nice. That is a socialist nation.
Yes.
Okay? That is socialism. All right? If you want to look at pictures of people eating out of garbage trucks and garbage cans, go right ahead.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay? That was once the jewel of Latin America, the richest, wealthiest nation in Latin America. And the people are literally doing whatever they have to do to survive now.
And the funny thing is, those areas are overrun by gangs, drug lords, everything else, and the government.
So I added another definition here just so you listen to what it says. Again, hearing what they want to put out there for these definitions. Any of various theories or systems of social organization in which the means of producing and distributing goods is owned collectively or by a centralized government that often plans and controls the economy. Here's the problem. These are very sterile definitions that they put out there for people to read, that they want everybody to take a look at. And it's almost like they're just we're just going to gloss over it enough so that young people won't look at this and go, oh, it's horrible. Who on God's earth would ever pick socialism or communism or fascism, right? And the fascism, I include that, and we're going to hit that one in just a second. This one, they've tried so hard to attach that to Republicans, conservatives, to the quote-unquote right. But we're going to get to that one, too. You had a question or a statement?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Well, I mean, honestly, you know, one of the underlying things of socialism, which it's already started here,
Yeah.
the whole everybody gets health care.
Well, that's all.
That's a very big root. And you know, it sounds good right now while you're doing something like that. So, and I know I always find one little point to drive on when you're doing these things.
No,
but it's vital to understand. Everybody out there going, oh yes, the health care for everybody. It's a great thing. It's a great thing. It's a great thing. For right now, it is. Until you don't have enough to put back into it, and then they can look at you and deny you and
Yes.
go, no, we're not going to waste the money to fix that for you or to do this for a loved one, or because your parents are elderly. Yeah, well, they're at that end of life cycle. We're not going to pay for life support or a life-saving drug or something like that. They'd just rather let them slip away into oblivion and don't care. Guys, it all ties together, and these are the points we want you to keep thinking. It's the pretty picture that they want to paint. They pick pieces to paint you a visual, and especially today's youth. They're so freaking led by what they read on social media or the internet or a friend read it somewhere.
Yep.
Dig for facts, guys. That's what we're challenging to. That's what the whole thing is, and that's what Patriots encouraging tonight is dig for the truth.
You know, one of those missing pieces, quick divergence here for just a second, but one of those missing pieces is people understanding what a eugenicist is. They forget that people like George Bernard Shaw and Margaret Sanger, and Shaw was famous for basically calling people who were not, as they put it, productive members of society, okay?
Yeah.
Useless eaters, okay? The Nazis used this term. The Nazis picked up what the eugenicists taught them, okay? And they forget that these were things they wanted to embed in our government. They wanted these to become public policy to get rid of the people that they deemed unnecessary. And here's another quote for you. Any government big enough to give you everything you want is powerful enough to take everything you have.
Exactly.
Don't ever forget that. And if you doubt the veracity of that statement, just ruminate on it a little bit for a while. There's a couple of words for you for today.
Ruminate.
Okay, let's hit fascism real quick here. Now, this one is good, like I said, because the left tries for all they're worth, and that was why I got triggered this week on this whole thing of them calling us fascist and semi-fascist and all that. Because
and let's think real quick before you get into this.
Yeah.
With the fascism, because of what it's going to state what fascism is. Mm-hmm. Who's running the whole government right now?
Yeah.
The left.
Yeah.
Who's in charge of the houses and stuff like that? The
Yeah.
leaders and everything. It's the left, guys. So before Patriot gets to this is why I'm pointing it out. Think about who's in charge right now.
That's right.
You can't blame Trump. You can't blame the Republicans. You can't blame the conservatives. You can't blame the constitutionalists. It's government. Look who's leading it now, guys. So go ahead, Patriot.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Fascism. A system of government marked by centralization of authority. There's the first point.
Boom.
Under a dictator. Now listen to this. Everybody, there's another indicator of why I refuse now to use the word capitalism.
Yes.
Because it's not what we want.
No.
A capitalist economy subject to stringent governmental controls, violent suppression of the opposition, and typically a policy of belligerent nationalism and racism. Yeah. Now, just for a second, that's the definition of fascism.
Okay.
Now, these people are calling us fascists. Now, why do they call us fascists? Well, when you look at another version of that definition, it talks about the idea, And I'll mention a couple of names here for you in a second. It talks about the idea that the fascists realized they needed at what were called at the time the industrialists, right?
Right.
Think the left's vision of robber barons, rich CEOs, the 1%, the people who need to pay their, never mind that the 1% are almost irrevocably leftists.
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty much.
But here's the idea. They keep telling us this is right wing, right? Every definition I read online tonight that I could find just on Merriam-Webster, you name it, wherever it was.
And I've been doing that too all evening.
Right wing, extreme right wing. Think about it. Words mean things. This is why there is a constant drumbeat from the media and politicians referring to us as the extreme right wing, the extreme right wing, the blah, blah, you name it, okay? They want that picture in everybody's mind, and they want you to always just immediately be triggered and hear that and go, oh, it's those Republicans, the right-wingers. Whether you believe that the founder was Giovanni Gentile, right, 1896 or somewhere thereabouts.
Somewhere around.
Okay, Thomas Carlyle is mentioned in some of the articles. They've attached it to Carlyle. Or any of the other names proffered by the left, Wikipedia or others. The simple truth that while the intelligentsia today works very hard along with the political left to keep themselves separated from the ideology of fascism, okay, claiming with all their might that it's an extreme right-wing ideology, the truth is very simple. It's a left-wing ideology. Giovanni Gentile was a leftist. He believed in central control of the economy. They believed in a socialist view. They just modified it to make it more extreme, okay? It's a dictatorship. Benito Mussolini was the premier fascist of the time, and it involved control of the economy by him as the dictator, period.
There's like Francisco Franco and even Adolf Hitler.
Well, and we're gonna cover that in just a second too, right?
Yep.
Gentile focused on getting buy-in from the industrialists to make fascism work, okay? And don't forget, the capitalism that they talk about being part of fascism, this was coined by Marx. This is not, in itself, a right-wing ideology.
No.
The idea was to control the economy, control the people with a dictator. You know what? You want to know what it's more akin to than anything?
What's that?
Fascism. I want you to think for a second. What are we talking about? We're talking about industrialists, right? So free market people, in a way, who are out there doing business. Okay. China was an absolute failure as a communist state. They were getting nowhere. People were starving.
Right.
What did they do to pull themselves out of the morass and get it so that the people weren't all miserable and looking to kill the leaders of the Communist Party? They permitted a little bit of free market economics to take hold. Now, don't make any mistakes. Still centrally controlled by the Communist Party. Still centrally controlled, still demanded. You must follow their dictates. You must do things the way they want it, right? If you want to talk about what we believe as constitutionalists, as conservatives, as patriots, right? You want to go look and read Bastiat. You want to read Ludwig von Mises, right? You want to read things by Friedman and Sol and Walter Williams and others who believe in free market economics, okay? You want to go look at, and I should probably wait a second because I think I've got some notes on it here near the end, so we'll get to that. But you don't want to look, I don't want to talk about capitalism. I don't want to talk Marx's idea. That's not what it's about, okay? A fascist, they call us fascist all the time, right? An advocate or adherent of fascism.
Right.
Now, they want people believing that because we believe, we support industrialists and we think everything is all right, see, they're for all those rich people. Folks, the vast majority of the wealthy people in Congress are all leftists. The vast majority of the people running Fortune 500 companies are leftists. They are not conservatives. So this idea somehow that the rich belong to the right is nonsense, okay? Let's talk real quick about Nazism, okay?
Okay.
The German form of fascism,
right.
Okay? Especially that of wait for this one, this is beautiful. If you know this, you should, see now when we have call-in, we can have people that can, it's especially that of the National Socialist Workers' Party, okay? The Nazis, I couldn't pronounce it. I don't speak German, so it's National Socialist, something like that. I apologize. My German, I can't say anything in German.
It's all right.
But it meant National Socialist Workers' Party. Nazis were National Socialists. There it is again. That fascism has an aspect of nationalism, extreme nationalism. Okay? To the point, and Hitler took it to the extreme of the Aryan race and the whole thing, right? So the Nazis were just same thing. Socialist, fascist, same stuff. They were leftists. They were not right-wingers. The left wants everybody to believe that anything that had to do with nationalism, racism, and all this kind of stuff, that was all the right. That was all conservatives and Republicans, right? We'll cover that in a second, too. The ideology and practice of the Nazis, especially the policy of racist nationalism, national expansion, and state control of the economy. Oh, there's my alarm. I'm never going to make the alarm tonight. You can forget that. Because I'm on a roll. I'm not stopping. Democracy. Everybody loves democracy. The news media tells us every day, our democracy. We've got to save our democracy. Republicans are dangerous for our democracy. Folks, we don't have a democracy. It's not a democracy. It's never been a democracy, and I don't want any part of it being a democracy. Why? It says here, now this sounds good, again, government by the people, exercised either directly or through elected representatives. Now that's what it says, right?
Right.
Remember what I said before about democracy? What is democracy? Democracy is majority rule, right?
Right.
Whether you're doing it as direct democracy, where you basically do like what California does, you have ballot initiatives. You say, hey, we're going to have a policy with single-payer health care. Everybody vote on it. Oh, democracy, the majority wins. We've got single-payer health care.
Yes.
Or you're doing it through representatives, where all of the representatives running the government on behalf of the people are elected by popular vote.
Yes.
Okay? It's always the same thing, majority rules. Now, there are people out there who want to eliminate the Electoral College because they believe that the president should be decided by the national popular vote. Now, that sounds really good because what they've got in their head right now is, we've got the majority. We're in control. We can make the decisions here.
Yes.
Hey, that sounds great until somebody you don't like gets in power and starts telling you to do things you don't want to do.
Right.
That's why we have a constitutional republic, okay? So, majority rule, right? That's what you got there. So let's do republic. Now, this I thought was interesting too because they define a republic as, the American Heritage Dictionary, a political order in which the supreme power lies in a body of citizens. Now, listen how they do this, who are entitled to vote for officers and representatives responsible to them. They make it sound like the republic is a ruling class. Never mind that we have universal suffrage.
Where's that definition come from? Who's
that was out of the American Heritage Dictionary.
American Heritage Dictionary. Oxford, I think, makes it sound a little bit different. Oxford Dictionary.
Hold on. Merriam-Webster said a government having a chief of state who is not a monarch and who is, in modern times, usually a president. A political unit, such as a nation, having such a form of government. A government in which supreme power resides in a body of citizens entitled to vote. There's that entitled to vote thing again. Right?
Entitled.
Now, here's the little twist, right, that I wanted to get to for you.
Okay.
That sounds interesting, but the truth is what we have is what's called a constitutional republic. All right? Now, that's important because listen to the difference as it describes a constitutional republic.
Right.
A form of government in which a representative is elected by the people to govern over them, according to the rules established in the law of the land. And it clearly says an example of a constitutional republic is the United States. Okay? We elect a president and other representatives who then govern them as the Constitution directs. Now, why am I being so emphatic about that? Because here's the truth. The people in power in Congress, the politicians, the people at the state level, and others, they want to tell you all the time that, these representatives, they're doing the best thing. We're doing the work of the American people. We're doing the work of the people. We're up here doing what's right. The truth is, you're not there just to do what's right. You're not there to follow the good and plenty clause, right? You're not there to just, run your conscience over whatever you think it is, or to follow the dictates of the current mores of our society.
Right.
You're there to do things based on the law. You have a clearly enumerated list of powers. You have expectations about what you are allowed to do and what you are not allowed to do. And what they have done is created this goulash between the court and Congress and the states and block grants and all this other nonsense while they dumb down the populace through lousy education that they run out of a national education system, okay? And they go up there and tell everybody, oh, no, we got it. We got you covered. Don't worry about it, okay? And I say that because I want to talk real quick before I finish the definitions. We want to talk about the free market. I said I don't use the term capitalism anymore. Okay?
Right.
So let's talk free market. Adam Smith, the father of modern economics, was a strong supporter of the free market. Okay? Supporters of a free market economy say it is driven by individual innovation and the idea that hard work and ingenuity are rewarded by success. Every company exists to make a profit.
Right.
There's a term, and it requires more reading than I can throw off in just the time we have. The invisible hand. Okay? One of the examples he gives in The Wealth of Nations is the idea of a worker's woolen coat. Have you ever heard the thing about the story of a pencil, how a pencil's made? All the people involved, end to end, the process.
Yes.
Everybody looks at it and goes, well, it's a pencil. Yeah, but you got people who have to mine the graphite. It's got to get to, all these things that have to
It's
come
all
together.
the parts that have to come together.
One of the
to make it.
examples,
Yes.
the invisible hand, he talks about the woolen coat worn by a worker, right? And you got to remember he's in Scotland, okay,
Right.
in the 1800s. And he talks about all the people involved in, raising the sheep, shearing the sheep, getting the wool to market. Everybody looks at it and think, well, it's just a simple wool coat. No. It's an example of the invisible hand. All this stuff, each one of those people doing those jobs, kind of the general underlying concept is they're working for their best interest, to feed their family, to get a better house, to have a better life, to do things. Each of them driven by their own drive to be better, to do better, to make money and improve their lives.
Right.
And yet, in doing that, they've bargained with a boss who says, hey, I need you to raise these sheep. Okay, I'm going to take a job raising sheep. I need you to shear the sheep. You have to do this thing. I need this. You're going to be a transporter. I need you to transport this wool. So it's all that stuff that goes on. And if you haven't done it, read Wealth of Nations. It's a great read. It's hard to get through because it's a lot of information, but it does tell you a lot. So, like I said earlier, the ultimate truth about fascism, where I got started on this whole thing, is that it's a leftist ideology, okay? It focuses on central control, all right? I already told you about China and that whole idea. There is no shadow, no piece of conservatism in that ideology. None. Okay? The Nazis were National Socialists, having a form of socialism drenched in radical, fanatical nationalism, okay, and racism. But here's the last point I wanted to make about that, okay, with regard to the politics. Do we have to have another class again and everybody be reminded who ran the Dixiecrats? Who was that? Were that Republicans? Were those conservatives? No, they were Democrats.
Exactly.
Right? Who ran the KKK? Were those Republicans? No, they were Democrats. Okay? Who were the people that ran Jim Crow and passed those laws and perpetrated those on everybody?
The big D word again.
Democrats.
Bam.
Right? So when I said pay attention to what's going on, okay? Ask yourself who advocates for the ideals of the ideology that you're looking to support, and then who carries those things out. And here's some things I want you to think about I think this is going to be my wrap up here. Yeah. Ask yourself these things. Who believes in central government control of the economy? Republicans? What do you always hear out of conservatives saying all that? No, you're right about, yes, Republicans. We got a bunch of Republicans up there going right along with the rest of them. But what do you hear from patriots and conservatives saying all the time, right? We don't want the extra things, but this is what the left and the squishy Republicans and the lifetime politicians
I like that description.
all the time.
Squishy Republicans.
Government regulation. They want more of it. They want it stricter. They want more control. Yes. Higher taxes. We want more of your money to institute our policies.
Always higher taxes. If you think about it, look at the process. Every time you get a Republican president in there, what happens? Looking for tax cuts, tax breaks. Mm-hmm. Looking for ways to put money back in the pockets of the people.
Evil rich.
Oh yeah, it's always the rich. It's the rich. It's the rich. I don't know. I got helped quite a bit. I classify myself as kind of middle class. I'm not, but actually I made up pretty good while he was in there. Yet now Biden's in there.
Yep.
There we go.
Higher taxes, mandates on transportation. Now we're going through this. The government is driving electric cars. That is not the job of the friggin' government to tell me what I ought to be driving.
Overstep of
They can
boundaries.
call it the Green New Deal and anything they want. That is not the government's job. That is the job of the economy and the people. It just kills me. More codes, more rules for building, zoning, growth. They want to control where you build, what you build,
don't
how
even
you
get
build
me
it.
started on local. I mean, multi-million-dollar buildings. Go down to pull a permit at your local office and look at the multi-million-dollar building they got in there. The dozens of useless workers dictating to you what you can and can't build. Guys, there's all your tax dollars being wasted. You want to get rid of the national deficit? Quit paying taxes on crap like that. Get rid of some of these people.
Who's running education? What you can teach, how you can teach it, how much you can
And yet
spend,
it
where
used
you've
to
got
be
to
the
spend it.
parents and the teachers
Yep.
coming together, deciding what was taught, driving the school system, not the government.
And then I know big tech is complying and helping and doing it too, but constant demands for more social awareness by the government. The government keeps talking about it. Now, I don't care whether they actually institute a law or not. Where'd they get off telling us about social compliance? What the hell's that got to do with them?
Exactly.
None of their business. Social compliance, medical compliance, scientific, spiritual, etc. You name it. They've got some sort of discussion point or rule about it. It is not the purview of our Congress, whether you be a senator or a representative, a president, or some godforsaken lifetime bureaucrat up there in Washington, running around presuming to tell us what we can and cannot do. That's not their place.
No.
Okay? Constantly, they insinuate that people say too much, speak the wrong words, have the wrong beliefs, think the wrong things. It's this constant drumbeat. You know, you get these senators that get up there and deign to get in front of a microphone to talk to us and let us know that, you know, it's kind of dangerous. We've got people that are thinking about some things out there that are pretty radical. It's none of your damn business.
Hate thoughts.
It's none of
You're
your
guilty
business.
of hate thoughts now. They want to tell you what you're thinking is wrong.
This
Can't
is
think.
this is the culmination of what I wanted to get to, this idea, because the minute they started saying fascist, this is the stuff that popped into my head. I'm thinking to myself, I've already got you guys running around telling me that you think you know what's better for me. You know what kind of car I should drive. You know what kind of food I should eat. You know whatever. They're shutting down Amish farmers because they don't like them selling raw milk because, oh, God, 2 people had listeria a couple of years ago. It's none of your business.
Nope.
Caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. It's our job.
Yes.
It's our job to conduct commerce with who we will.
But you
It's
know what
none of their business.
but you know what
Oh,
all-
it's for your safety.
Patriot, all this ties into, it's the continual handing over of everything to the government, setting back, going, hey, they'll take care of it for us. They'll take care of us. People's inability to, number one, take ownership over their own choices
Yep.
and decisions.
Yep.
The inability to make educated decisions.
Yes.
The inability to go out and dig for the truth yourself, and the inability to go out and work and do what's needed to
Yes.
take care of yourself and take care of your family and provide through the ways and means that you can. But no, we'll sit back with it. The government will give us health care. Oh, the government will teach our children. Oh, the government will do this and that. That's what it all ties into. It's leading right into it, man.
You have had Candace Owen and others that have gone out there with just tons of guts and said constantly, the government is subsidizing broken homes. They're paying money through welfare to keep husbands and fathers out of the home.
Yep.
They're destroying the American family. They destroy our children. And hey, we've allowed it. We've allowed them to take
allowed
over
it.
the
Allowed
education
it for
system.
years.
We've permitted it,
Yep.
okay? But these people tell us, they say, you can't be trusted to make the right decision about what you're going to buy and what you're going to... We'll step in and tell you how to look at that.
We got that. What is it called? The consumer or whatever.
The Consumer Protection Agency.
Yeah.
And
there's another.
wait a second.
Useless.
I got a huge list, and I'm going to do a right show about that. I've got a
We
huge
were
list of
talking
these
about
government
that,
agencies.
yeah,
Oh,
about a list of all the worthless.
do you know they still
agencies.
have a committee, right? Well, we remember now in modern day America, we hate Columbus. He was a terrible.
Oh yeah, we don't even celebrate Columbus Day anymore.
They've still got a committee on the quincentennial jubilee or whatever for Columbus. I'm like, why is that still there?
Why?
Anyway,
Yeah, we need. That'll be a whole show.
Oh,
that'll be
yeah.
a whole show. That's going to be
The government tells us they know best. They know how to make. Just sit there, little citizen. We'll take care of you. We got it covered. We know what needs to happen here. They tell us, hey, don't what? Don't. Where do you get off talking about that? You got a degree in that? You know anything? As if some educated Harvard graduate all of a sudden is the world's expert on what's right for my life.
Yes.
I'm sorry, you don't get that. I didn't give away that right. I didn't give you the right to tell me how I should live my life. It's none of your business.
And the sad thing is, most of that's always based on the actual majority opinion.
Well, there again,
it's majority opinion.
Anybody who thinks we're not already living in a mostly socialist nation, perish the thought. Trust me, you're already living under socialism. Socialized medicine, all the welfare, all the handouts. Now they want to do this minimum income. These are things. Trust me, they're pushing it right through. They're going to work on it.
And you see it more and more. All right, the tax increase on privately owned property and stuff. Is becoming to where they could come in and just eminent domain, take it away from you and everything. They're driving for the social equality.
Oh yeah.
They're driving for a classless society. And I know we should have class and everything, but the whole classless society is where there's no rich, there is no poor, there is no. It's all one, and the government controls who gets what. Let's see how well that's working over in Russia, don't you guys?
Trust me, there are. I don't care what they call it. I don't care what Marx called it. Trust me, there will be. It will not be a classless society. There are two classes.
Yes.
There are those who rule. And those who don't.
Exactly.
And you will.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Here's my sort of final statement. Then I got a couple of things to wrap up with some shout outs and stuff like that. But I want you to remember this, folks. If you don't remember anything else I've said, if you really disagree with me and you don't care, whatever, I really don't care. That's up to you. Okay? That's not true. I do care. I actually give a damn about the Republic. But
we care in the garage.
Pay attention to what gets said every day. Right? If you're a news watcher, when they come on and tell you something, pay attention to what's being said. Listen to it. Put it in context and think to yourself, wait a second. If those people are fascists, how come they don't want all the government control? If those people are racists, okay, do I have proof of that? Can I see that? Can I see that they're racist, or am I just taking the word of someone who tells me? It's funny because I think I've heard my whole life, don't paint with a broad brush. Don't be calling a whole class of people just because you ran into one idiot. Don't do that. And yet, day in and day out, the mere fact that I am a conservative, that I am a patriot, that I am a Christian, the fact that I believe in fundamental truths,
you're evil,
makes me evil.
You're the
I'm a
problem.
Racist. I'm a bigot. I'm a hater. I get called. You can't imagine. Okay?
Yep.
Think what you are supporting. Look at the actions of the people who are telling you to support them, who are coming out and saying, vote for me because I'll give you stuff. Ask yourself, what's the price? Folks, nothing comes for free. You're not getting it for free. There's a price. And the question is, when it all comes down to it, are you willing to pay the price?
Absolutely. And you know what, folks? Because in a lot of states right now, there's political races going on now for the senators.
You get the primaries and everything right now.
Stuff and everything. You know, it'd be refreshing, guys. I've been saying it for a long time. Patriot will attest to this and knows. But here's something I challenge. You want to see some clear lines? Start telling these people, quit creating stupid ad campaigns just trying to bash the other guy. We're all human. We've all made mistakes. You know, it'd be refreshing. See somebody running for an office, go, I've made my mistakes. Admit it and own your mistakes, but say, I've learned from my mistakes, and I'll do this for you all as the people. I want a candidate that wants to know what we want, that's willing to come and listen to us and not be afraid about what he's done in the past, because guess what? There ain't a single one of you out there that hasn't done something totally stupid that in today's standards would land you in jail based on the new cancel culture and all the other crap. God forbid they find out what half of you civilians and humans and everything out there have done somewhere in your past. We're human. Make mistakes.
Here's a garage challenge for you. Here's an idea, right?
A garage
challenge. Let's start out with one thing, right? Woo! Something really simple. Okay. I don't care if it's your dog catcher or if you want to be really, enthusiastic and make it your senator, your representative, whatever.
Okay.
Pick one politician that you're thinking about voting for this time and do two things. Number one, take the time, call, write, pester, whatever you have to
Email,
do,
whatever
and
you gotta
actually
do.
find out what they really stand for. I don't want to hear the political statements. I want you to tell me, what are you going to do? Are you going to cut spending? Are you going to reduce the regulation? Are you going to fight for those?
And
I know you
tell
can't do
them,
it by
don't
yourself.
quote your campaign slogan.
But are you going to fight for that? And then, if you vote for them and they win, call them and write them incessantly and say, are you keeping your promise? Are you doing what you said?
Hold them accountable.
Hold their feet to the fire.
Hold them accountable.
How about some shout-outs? Shout-outs? Oh, yeah, here we go. I got 2 shout-outs this week real quick for firemen, New York firemen. 70 unvaccinated city firefighters. They got 98% of the department vaccinated.
Yes.
You got 70 unvaccinated city firefighters have been informed they are losing their jobs, according to the union. Okay? They're still being required to get the vaccination after all of this, okay? And they applied for exemptions 10 months ago.
Yes.
They were just notified all their appeals have been denied. And they received letters stating that they must get the shot within 3 days or they'll be placed on leave and scheduled for termination. Mayor Adams' statement, our goal was always to vaccinate, not terminate.
yeah. Yet you're going to do that. And you know what the sad thing is, and I'm watching it right now around me? The vaccinated are the ones getting sick right now. They're the ones getting it and getting it bad.
Yeah.
Now, the whole promise was, yes, but the symptoms aren't as severe.
You're still getting it.
You're still getting it.
And one more. Unfortunately, this morning, 1 a.m. this morning, Savannah, Georgia police officer Reginald Brennan, who joined the department in December of 2020, was driving home from work when he was involved in a crash in Garden City and passed away. So our condolences to his family.
Our prayers to your
and
family.
to that Savannah
we are
Police
very
Department.
Sorry for your loss.
That's we never like to hear about that, but God bless. And I'm going to leave out with this quote. The doorstep to the temple of wisdom is knowledge of our own ignorance. And that came from Benjamin Franklin.
Awesome quote. Awesome segment. Great soapbox, bro. Man, I'm loving it. I'm digging it. Hey, guys, so you got a whole hour and like 8-minute show this week. That's a pretty good thing. We're going to throw up there just so you can see the website. Once again, we got to remind you about that. We're really trying to get back and build this up. I mean, guys, years ago when we first had the garage, we had a lot of listeners. We were proud of that. It took us a while. We know it's going to take a while again. So visit us at YouTube. Visit us over at Rumble, Twitter, Facebook. Drop us a line. Hit the like. Hit subscribe. Guys, we want to hear from you. We want to hear what your thoughts are. We want to hear ideas you may have, something you want us to touch on in the garage, something you want to talk about. The whole goal, get to where we're live again, get to where we can take callers, get to where you can call in. We can have conversations. We can argue. We can debate. We can have a rocking good time here in the garage. But that about wraps up this show for this week. So for my brother, the Common Patriot, myself, Buzz Rankin, we're going to say see you guys next week
God
in
bless.
the garage.